up, Laker Nation? Welcome to the Lake Show. Behind AD and THT, the Lakers were able to defeat the Spurs 114-106, man. But before I get into the game recap and my thoughts on this game, give your boy a like to support the channel. Also, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for all things Lakers basketball. So let's get to the game recap and my thoughts on this game, break it down quarter by quarter. Man, it's good to have THT back. I tell you, man, it's going to bring the Lakers so much offensive stability because of the fact that they're, struggling offensively, taking shots late in the shot clock, as we've seen during this game against the Spurs. THT was able to be that guy that busted that for the Lakers because they were struggling offensively, getting the ball to AD, force feeding. The Spurs were able to collapse on him, things of that nature. And THT was able to alleviate that pressure and score when the Lakers needed it the most. AD had himself a great first quarter, man. Scored 19 points. And what I liked about his mentality was the fact that he was scoring inside. He wasn't settling for fadeaway contested jump shots, things of that nature. His teammates were finding him on lobs and in pick and roll for dunks. AD had a nice catch to himself lob pass off the backboard, man. A la Kobe, rest in peace, man. I know Kobe definitely appreciated that one, man, smiling down on AD for that pass to himself off the backboard. We already know Kobe was, famous for that type of those type of plays. And so AD was able to do that, but AD was just hot, feeling himself, man. That's how he has to play every game. And we know him playing at the 5 position, most bigs in the league, they're not bruisers. The only true bruisers is probably Embiid and Jokic, and that's about it. So AD playing at the 5 position, he's averaging close to 30 points per game and has been over the years, as opposed to 25 or so, 24 points at the power forward position. That's a huge difference. 6 points, it seems so small, but it's a huge difference in terms of momentum. It gets the Lakers offense going better. They have more spacing, things of that nature. And so AD playing inside out, man, most bigs are not going to be able to stay with him on the perimeter. He's going to be able to go to the cup, his shooting ability, things of that nature, his foot speed. And so him playing at the center position, and like we all been clamoring for the last couple years, AD at the 5 position is a no-brainer. And so hopefully we see more of that. We didn't see DeAndre Jordan this game. We didn't see Ken Bazemore. I think those are 2 guys that are, I'm not going to say poisons to the Lakers, but they don't help the Lakers as much as people may think. They should probably find themselves out of the rotation. The more Dwight plays, great. The more AD plays, great. I'd rather see Sekou Doumbouya, who had a good play, start for him during the Portland game, even though it wasn't a blowout for the Portland Trailblazers. He played good. I think he had like 10 points, showed really good rebounding and energy, things of that nature. I think he's like 6'10", so playing him at the small ball center position, he's going to be able to provide some energy off the bench from time to time. So I'd like to see him get some take as well, but we'll see how that goes. But, AD really played well, man. The mentality was inside out, and, he's playing inside. He's scoring easy buckets. That's going to draw momentum for him to score on the outside. So the easier, the better, man. That's where it should be. His bread and butter is to not take contested jump shots because it's just feeding into the defense and their plans, man. But second quarter, Lakers second unit with Dwight and Malik Monk brought the good energy for the Lakers off the bench. Lakers went up as much as 9, but Keldon Johnson for the Spurs kept them within striking distance, hitting a few shots from the perimeter. That seemed to be the theme for the Spurs. Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray were keeping them in as the Lakers were struggling with their offense, and they hit offensive stalls in this game. And then the Spurs were able to, hit shots from the perimeter, particularly behind Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray, who kept them in this game. Speaking of Keldon Johnson, he went 4 for 4 from the field, 16 points off the bench, had himself a hell of a second quarter to keep the Spurs within striking distance. I think they got the deficit to within 4 points, which prompted Frank Vogel to sub in AD at the 7+ minute mark, and then that's when they went on their offensive groove. They hit a stall, so that's when AD was subbed in. I mean, he was the only player that was hot for them pretty much in the first half. And then after the defense started to collapse on AD, as he had himself a field day inside barbecue chicken alert, that's when Wayne Ellington went 3 for 4, I believe, from 3-point land, man. He was able to hit his shots, open up the floor a little bit. And then Lakers went on their offensive groove, which fueled them to about a 14-point lead. But turnovers started to pile up for the Lakers, and then Spurs went on an 11-2 run in the second quarter behind DeJounte Murray's scoring punch, and ended the quarter with, I believe, 15 points. DeJounte Murray. I want to say this, though, Laker fam. Wayne Ellington it was a good sight for him. It was a good sight for Laker Nation to see him hitting his jump shot, because we already know that the Lakers are going to get doubled. They're going to get doubled with AD. They're going to get doubled with LeBron James. And then Russell Westbrook, they're going to stack off of him. So having Wayne Ellington be able to hit shots is going to open up the floor, which allows the Lakers to do what they do best and, score at the rim. And then so Wayne Ellington, getting his groove going is going to be key, because he's going to get a lot of open shots and other shooters following as well, Malik Monk, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a good sight to see Wayne Ellington hit a shot within his game and get hot from the field. I think he had 15 points off the bench for the Lakers. So props to Wayne Ellington, and hopefully he continues the shooting spree. Wayne Ellington has been struggling shooting the ball since preseason up till now. So it was a good thing to see him. Plus, he's been going through injuries. So he just came back, and this was a good stretch for him, man. So hopefully he continues that. We're going to need him off the bench. He's shooting 42% from behind the arc, man. Other than Carmelo Anthony, I believe he's been one of our best shooters. So once again, that's going to be key for the Lakers come playoffs, because we already know they're going to double up on AD. They're going to load up on LeBron, and they're going to, sag off of Russell Westbrook. So by somebody like Malik Monk and him and other shooters, hitting shots, open shots, it's going to open up the floor for the Lakers offensively, and it's going to keep the defense honest. So it was a good thing to see Wayne Ellington hit his shot this game. But the Lakers have to do a better job closing quarters, man. They had a 14-point lead. They gave it up. The Spurs were able to decrease the deficit to about 4 points. And then, like I said earlier, man, AD at the center position, first half, 27 points, almost at his average at the center position. I believe he averages close to 30 points. So once again, we already know it's a clear-cut thing that AD needs to start at center as opposed to power forward, man. We already know he's going to have multiple mismatches. Most bigs cannot stay with AD. He's too talented, too skilled, and he's going to score on the inside. He's going to score on the outside. So once again, he needs to play at center as much as possible. 27 points already in the first half for Lakers. So we already know what he can do, man. And then Lakers go up into the second quarter by 5 points after blowing a 14-point lead, 60-55, and then second half, third quarter, Russ for three went 3 for 3 from the field. From three, it was a good thing to see him shooting the ball better, but he has to get better with taking care of the ball, man. He's rushing too much. Has a one-track mind. Drew a couple offensive fouls. He has to get better with changing direction and changing speed. We already know THT can do that really well. Hopefully he's able to do something like that as well. But Russ has to, again, play a more controlled pace, and he's having a hard time doing that because he's used to playing one speed. But he'll get better in due time. It's just going to take a long time for him to get used to it. He was working on that J from three-point land 3 hours or so before the game, so clearly it paid off for Russell Westbrook to shoot a little better this game. I like how the Lakers were advancing the ball to THT, allowing him to operate early in transition, not allowing the Spurs to get back defensively. We already know that THT is elite in attacking the rim. And then I like the fact that they're trusting his ability, because we already know we're going to need him to score, because once again, the Lakers had a lot of stalls offensively when the Spurs were doubling and committing to AD. But THT early in transition, man, is a problem. Him getting to the rim, he has an array of offensive acrobatic layups up and underneath, finesse, and then the fact that he's able to absorb contact, attacking the rim, and the fact that he's so young already. Once he gets his jump shot going, man, he's going to be an elite talent. He's already on his way. Once again, like I said, man, 4 years, $11 million annually for this player, under 25 years old. A building block for the franchise, man. I'm happy that THT is a Laker, because he really helped seal this game against the Spurs when the Lakers started to struggle offensively. And like I said earlier, the Spurs were committing to AD. They were doubling him and forcing Lakers to take contested shots late in the shot clock, which allowed them again to stay within this game. And so THT, being that player that can bust that pressure, is going to be vital. And then K Nunn, like I said earlier, when he comes back, those are two legit shot creators that the Lakers have. That's going to alleviate a lot of pressure when AD's double, when LeBron is double. But they like to run that early transition advance pass, which AD does a lot when he rim runs. But having THT, a second player that can get to the rim and finish early in transition, is going to open things up for the Lakers a lot offensively. So it was a good thing to see. But the Spurs really did a really good job committing to AD, forcing others to beat them. AD didn't get a bucket until about the 2-minute mark, so he went scoreless about 10 minutes, and the Spurs did a phenomenal job forcing others to beat them from the field. As AD, once again, 27 points in the first half, and went scoreless. So good job and an adjustment by Coach Popovich. And then Wayne Ellington, his shot started to fall. 5 for 6 up to this point, I believe, from 3. 15 points to end the third quarter. Easily Ellington's best game as a Laker. Coach Vogel didn't play Bazemore, like I said, a single minute. DeAndre Jordan a single minute. So that's why the Lakers were able to win this game as well, man, because they've been a negative impact for the Lakers this season, clearly. And a lot was hyped up about Bazemore's defense and things of that nature. But like I said, I believe on social media, it's easy to inflate stats when you're on a bad team and look good. And that's what the Golden State Warriors were last season. They were a bad team, and they had a lot of young players, mostly G League type of talent. And so, it was easy for Kent Bazemore to stand out. Now he's on a better team, and he hasn't been providing that. So it's not a shocker to me. We know that with THT back, Laker Nation, this likely means that Kent Bazemore will be subjugated to the bench. He didn't play any minutes this game, and there's reasons why. I mean, he's been ass for the Lakers. His defense hasn't been there. I mean, they talked about him being the best perimeter defender. It hasn't been there. And then plus, he's been turning over the ball, trying to be a playmaker when he should just defend and catch and shoot. Stay to his role. And he hasn't been effective for the Lakers. The shooting guard position is wide open. It's wide open, and THT coming back, is a guaranteed fill-in because you already know what you're going to get from him. He's going to be able to help the Lakers when they stall on offense, as they did against in this game against the Spurs. They're operating late in the shot clock, and the THT was able to operate, get to the bucket, score some layups, things of that nature, and that allowed the Lakers to gain momentum offensively because they were force feeding AD. The Spurs were doubling AD. Later on in this game, and THT was able to secure the win for the Lakers in the fourth quarter by scoring buckets. That's what he does. We need that legit offensive shot creator, and that's what THT can do. K Nunn when he gets back as well. So it's a good thing THT was able to start with a step back three, get his rhythm going, and then attack the cup. Man, he's D-Wade-esque Marquette wise. That's what I compare him to. Reminds me of Dwayne Wade when he played at Marquette in college. How he attacks the cup, how he maneuvers, changes his speed, Euro step. Finish up and underneath, things of that nature. That's what THT reminds me of. He has that D-Wade-esque type of driving ability to the rim. So it's good to see THT back, man. But like I said, the shooting guard position's open because Malik Monk, is a defensive liability. We know he could score, but he's better off the bench in spurts. And, we know Wayne Ellington has been a little inconsistent with his jump shot, but it was good to see him get his groove this game from the perimeter. I'll talk about him later on within this recap. And then we know with Kent Bazemore, he's not going to be that type of player that's consistent enough. So THT, it's a steal, man. 4 years, $11 million, under 25 years old. We already know he has all-star potential. He has the length and the skill set to be a solid defender and a two-way combo wing player. Can he be that? I believe so, but we shall see. But we know he can score and get to the basket, and that's going to open things up a lot for the Lakers when they get into stalls offensively, as they did against the Spurs in this game. And THT was able to help secure the win. But I don't like when Frank Vogel plays that four-guard rotation, man. The Lakers were getting beat up on the boards. The Spurs were able to stay in this game because of that. The Lakers have the size advantage. They might as well use it. And they didn't, and Frank Vogel keeps going back to the four-guard rotation. We know Carmelo Anthony is not a good defender, and not being able to hedge and recover on the perimeter. Yeah, he struggled, and the only person that was rebounding the ball was pretty much Anthony Davis this game, and the Spurs were able to capitalize off that, get second chance opportunity, stay in this game, hit shots from perimeter. And Frank Vogel has to stop going to that four-guard rotation because it's really hurt the Lakers and allowed teams to stay within this game. Particularly the Spurs in this game, but stay within multiple games because he's playing a four-guard rotation. Ellington's offensive stretch helped catapulted the Lakers to a 90-79 lead going into the fourth quarter. They outscored the Spurs by 6 points or so in the third quarter. And that's, like I said earlier, that was all due to Wayne Ellington catching fire from three-point land. It's good. It's a good sighting, man, because once again they're going to get doubled. And the defense is gonna commit to AD. So Lakers shooters have to be ready because they're gonna have a lot of open shots. So it's good to see Wayne Ellington catch a groove in the third quarter. And in fourth quarter, Lakers were taking bad shots, settling for threes. The Spurs reduced the deficit to about 8 points. Vassell, I believe, for the Spurs, had 9 straight points to help decrease the deficit and keep the Spurs in this game in the fourth quarter. And like I said, man, on social media, if you guys are following me, follow me on Twitter. I always tweet about the game. My link will be in the description. For those who want to follow and interact with me, that's where I mostly do my interactions and talk hoops with people on Twitter and social media. So follow me if you guys want to. But Stu Lance kept harping the entire game that the Lakers were operating late in the shot clock, the entire game. And that's why the Spurs were able to stay in this game, because of the fact that the Lakers were stalling offensively. They didn't have offensive cohesion. They didn't have any ball movement. Guys were just standing around, too much one-on-one, and that's a lot of predictability. It's not going to always work. It worked in the first half, but it's not going to always work. And so that's what allowed the Spurs to stay in this game. And then the Lakers had multiple turnovers, and they weren't contesting shots on the perimeter. That's when DeJounte Murray started to get a groove, and then Keldon Johnson as well. And that's what kept the Spurs in this game. The Lakers had to do a better job of getting into their offense early in the shot clock, moving the ball more. AD has to operate faster off a pick and roll. One-on-one, I don't like him in the post as much because he's not really a post player. He's more of a finesse player. He's not really good with his back to the basket. So him off a pick and roll, off a movement is a lot better. We've seen that in the first quarter, in the first half. That's how he was able to get 27 points, because he was going off the move with Rajon Rondo, with Russ, and other players. He was able to get to the rim, get some lobs. That's where AD needs to play at. Not to his back to the basket and face up and being force fed with his back to the basket. He has to be able to operate on pick and roll. Frank Vogel has to do a better job of setting up plays for AD, as opposed to going one-on-one. It's just feeding into the defense. We're seeing this every game. It's a reoccurring theme. So they have to get better offensively, and that comes on the coaching staffs, drawing up more plays offensively on the move for AD, and not just depending solely on him one-on-one. Teams are gonna, they have scouting reports for a reason. They're going to depend on that. It's going to help them out, and that's what it did this game for the Spurs. It helped them out, aided them greatly, and that's how they were able to stay in this game. But fortunately for the Lakers, THT was able to save the day, helping to seal this game in the fourth quarter, getting to the rim. The Lakers went on a 7-0 run as the Spurs were able to get to within 2, and after they were able to get into 2, THT had a nice under scoop layup going towards the rim after that offensive foul that he had, a nice layup that he had, spin move. But THT, once again, man, getting to the rim is going to cause a lot of problems for teams. So he was able to catapult the Lakers and seal the win as they went on a 7-0 run to close the game, and behind a Carmelo Anthony 3-point shot. But the Lakers got to get better, man, with rebounding. They got to get better with closing out thirds and fourth quarters, and just taking care of the ball, man. Operating earlier in the shot clock so they don't have to take contestedly poor shots. That's why the Spurs were able to stay in this game. There was no offensive rhythm, and their defense fell short to allow the Spurs to stay within this game. So they got to get better on those fronts. But let's get to the stats to close this game recap. So AD 34 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 15 rebounds, 1 block. AD started to settle, taking contested jump shots. And if he remained playing in the inside this game, and Frank Vogel drawed up some plays, and players were cutting, like they were supposed to, that movement was constant, AD would have had 50 points this game. But once again, he settles for contested jump shots. I don't know why. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. So the Lakers had to do a better job of not force-feeding AD late in the shot clock and getting more ball movement and player movement. THT in the season debut goes for 17 points, 4 rebounds. Really the difference this game, especially in the clutch moments, because the Lakers, like I said, they needed a bucket. And when they needed a bucket and their offense was stalling, THT was able to get that. He did a solid job attacking the rim and alleviating pressure for the Lakers offensively. But Malik Monk off the bench, 16 points, 4 assists. Lakers got a lot of scorers, man. They got a lot of options, but the problem is defensively. If the Lakers can just get to being a top 10 defensive team, they will be elite and they'll be a championship competitive team. Thus far, they haven't shown that, but they have the potential, so we'll see how it goes. Carmelo Anthony and Wayne Ellington, 15 points apiece. I'm going to need that consistent shooting by Wayne Ellington, man. We're going to need that consistent shooting by Wayne Ellington. It's going to open up a lot of things offensively for the Lakers and alleviate pressure on AD, alleviate pressure on LeBron James. So it was a good thing to see Wayne Ellington. It was a good thing to see him hit his shot this game. Laker Nation, is a wrap for this game recap. Get up in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this game. Lakers redeemed themselves after an embarrassing loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves at home. So, yeah, I just want to forget about that. That's something to forget about. But they got the Bulls coming up tomorrow. I look forward to facing Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and obviously Caruso, man. It's going to be a really good game. The Lakers have to bring their A game because the Bulls are an elite defensive team, and they're like a top 4 team or whatever, I believe, in the East and overall in the NBA, so they're looking pretty good. So it's a good thing to see our former Laker boys, thriving in Lonzo Ball and Caruso, man. So props to them. They have been a really good watch this year, and I look forward to facing them tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully the Lakers are able to be better offensively because they're gonna need to be because the Bulls, man, they're gonna come defensively. So the Lakers have to come offensively and defensively. They cannot play how they played against the Spurs this game, installing offense, because the Bulls are definitely gonna take advantage. So hopefully the Lakers are able to be better in that front come tomorrow against the Bulls. But it should be an exciting one. So I look forward to it. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. I'm Tony on the Lake Show, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.